Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now, in today's episode, we are going to focus on business cards. So specifically, I'm going to tell you the difference between a business card and a personal credit card, why we like them so much, how you can incorporate them into your setup. We'll answer some popular questions I get about business cards. We'll actually jump over to the computer and walk through a business card application together to highlight the differences and what you need to know. Then we'll close on some recommendations for business cards as well if you're interested. So if that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead, press the subscribe button. Let's get to work. Starting out, what is a business card? What's the difference? Well, technically, I'm going to give you the technical definition first. Technically speaking, the idea of business cards comes from the fact that it's generally perceived as easier if you keep your business expenses separate from your personal expenses come tax time. So what would likely happen in a perfect non-credit card enthusiast run world, I should say, is that you would have a card like the Chase Inc. Unlimited, gives you 1.5x back on everything. And any business purchase for this channel, this camera, microphone, this computer, whatever you name it, you would just put on that card. So at the end of the year, when you go to your account, you can say, hey, every business expense I had just about is in this sheet. You just, pull up your statements and there you go. And that is easy. I mean, it's definitely easy, but that's not really our best application for it, right? We're still focused on getting the best multiplier. So business cards work the exact same way as personal cards. It's still a revolving line of credit. There are still multipliers. There are still credits, things like that. You're still responsible for paying it back. So, they're the exact same thing. That's just kind of the idea of business cards. Now, first things first, why do we like business cards so much? There are a few reasons, and the first one is it's almost like a form of double dipping, if you will, and from the standpoint of business cards come with sign-up bonuses as well. So if you take something like the American Express side, and American Express has rules, language that says once in a lifetime. You can only get the Amex Gold card once per life, the bonus once per lifetime. So you might have gotten that, but then technically you could come back and get the business gold because, it's a different product. So you can kind of double dip bonuses that way. Now, again, the cards are going to be a little bit different. The multipliers are going to be different. The credits might be different. Some are almost mirror copies of each other. It really just depends on the cards and what the issuer and the partner has decided to do, but it allows you to double dip. Number two is, and especially in this case for me, it allows you to fill in some gaps that you might have in your personal credit card lineup. So if you take Chase, for example, the Chase personal cards, they don't have a gas station category and they don't have like a cell phone category. So wouldn't you know it, the Chase Inc. Cash gives you 2% back on gas, which again isn't the best gas multiplier in the world, but it's not bad if you want to stay in the Chase ecosystem. And as far as cell phones goes, it also gives you 5% back on your cell phone, which cellular and internet is seen as a business expense. You still pay for internet. This thing is on the internet right now, and that counts for that 5% back as well. So this helps me round out my multiplier setup. And then the other reason, another big reason, and one why I've been hitting business cards so hard is this gets you around Chase's 524 rule. So if you're unfamiliar, Chase has a rule called 524 that says if you've had 5 new credit card accounts open within the last 24 months, it's an automatic decline. However, there's a few gaps in that rule. One of them is for business cards. So I'm at 424 right now. And if you apply for a business card from most of the major issuers, that business card isn't going to hit your personal credit report. Now, when you apply, it will still pull credit because you're going to have to put in a social security number, as you'll see, but it doesn't hit your personal credit. So the Inc. Cash, the Inc. Unlimited, and the Triple Cash, it's all fine. I'm still at 424 in Chase's eyes. Now, if I was at 524 and up, then I could not get Chase business cards, but 424 and down, I can get Chase business cards, U.S. Bank, Amex, Bank of America, you name it. So, it helps you almost maximize, go through the business cards, then get all the value we talked about, and then you can still go back and get your Chase personal cards if you want. So those are the reasons why we like them so much. Now let's talk about, again, we talked about the difference between the cards, and there is none. Let's talk about the rules, because this comes up a lot. Well, don't I need to have a business to get a business card? Well, kind of, sort of. The term business is used very broadly, very loosely, right? So you could say, hey, I'm selling on eBay. Congratulations, you have a business. Selling on Etsy. Congratulations, you have a business. You kind of get the point. And the 3 business cards that I have, I've never been asked to provide documentation for them. And I'll show you the reason why when we jump over to the application in a second. Now, I've had to provide documentation when opening up a business checking account in person. That's kind of another story. For credit cards, there's usually no request for documentation. Now, I wouldn't make anything up, but I would, just be creative, if you will, on what's a business. You've probably sold something, or I've even heard this term, hey, I'm trying to get my business banking set up before I go into business, and that's fine. You remember, bankers are around to sell products. And then again, if you run into trouble with that, you can always go apply in branch. So additional questions that I get, it's a business card. Does that mean I can only make business purchases with it? No. Again, to the top of the show, the idea is intended that you would use it to keep your business purchases separate, but they don't care what you purchase as long as you're not buying something that they are anti. Like, you can't go and if you go and you buy poker chips or something at the casino, that's a whole different thing, right? It's in their terms and conditions. That's like a cash advance thing, but they don't care what you buy. They're not here to audit you. We'll prove that this was a business expense. Again, these cards work the exact same way. With that, again, let's take a look at an actual application together, walk through it. Just so I want to call out some things that you should know when you're filling this out. So we'll go more in depth and we'll come back here for final thoughts. All right, guys, and as promised, here we are. We're just going to use the Chase Ink Cash for this example since we've talked about it for so much. So navigate to the card like you normally would. And of course, normally I would assign in to apply faster, but we'll take it from the top here. So this is going to launch the actual application. Now, as we go through it, I'm really just going to call out some things to talk through it with a visual. I'm not going to type in most of my information because I'll just have to put black bars over it. So the application itself is broken down to personal information and then business information. So it's really just one extra section. So personal information here, starting off with that. The only different thing that you're going to see here is authorizing officer title. So this really means at the company, what's your title? Some of these even have CEO. Again, if you really have an LLC or something, then obviously pick the title you're on paper with. But I generally just go owner, but if you want to give yourself a nice promotion, feel free to do so. This really doesn't matter. Now, the rest of this information you can pretty much handle yourself. This is personal information, just like you normally would. And so nothing really gets different until you get down to here, which is the business information section. This is the first part I want to call your attention to, this legal business structure. So this is kind of asking you, how is your business set up? Now, most people watching this are going to pick sole proprietorship. That's the one I always pick. And sole proprietorship is really just kind of you're in business yourself. You haven't bothered to file any documentation or anything like that. If you're one of these other ones, you're going to know it because you've likely filled out some paperwork and had to do some filings for this. And if you are, then pick that accordingly. But the vast majority of us are going to be sole proprietorship, and which is perfectly fine. That's what I do all the time. Now, business legal name, again, they give you some hints here, right? So they're telling you what's the full name of your business. Again, if you're sole prop here, then the legal name, it's your personal legal name, most likely. It doesn't have to be, but again, if you've done something different to change it, you would know. So I would just put in RJ and it comes in over here. So is your business under a DBA, doing business as? Again, if you're going to know if it is, so most people are going to be no for these purposes. Now, when you talk about finding your business classification, here you can type in kind of what you do and give you some examples, and then it's going to populate some other stuff. So we just use this and we just say we're in YouTube, and you can go ahead and hit search. After that, you can see it pulls down a few options. Now, these codes just mean something on Chase's end, but internet publishing, broadcast, web portal seems to be the closest one. You could argue video production, but I think that one works fine. It doesn't really matter that much. Get it close, but again, I think really what they're looking for here is to weed out folks that are in businesses that they don't necessarily want to be associated with. Now, here you go, EIN number or tax ID type. So if you're a sole proprietorship, so most people, again, watching this, you can just enter in your social security number just like you did above. If you have one of these, again, you're going to know you have one of these and then enter that in accordingly. But for our purposes, SSN works. Not going to type it in, obviously, because I just have to block it out. Is your business's physical address the same as your personal address? Again, for most of us doing this, it's going to be yes. If you put no, then it'll default for another address for you to write. Number of employees here. This is sometimes different application to application, but you can see right here they're telling you, hey, don't count yourself. So you put in 0. Easy enough. Business phone number can be the same as your regular phone number. Established date. Generally, my experience talking to bankers in branch, they like to see businesses open for at least a year or so, but I mean, they don't specify for this. And then annual business revenue and monthly expenses or monthly spend, basically the amount you would actually charge on this card. So, you'll know what you think you're going to charge on the card. I would put that since that's what they're asking you. And then annual business revenue here. I mean, again, I'm not going to tell you to make up a figure. Definitely do not put that in there. But, again, the term business is very broad, so I'm sure you can figure that out. And then, would you like to add employee cards? Again, for most of this, the answer is going to be no. Then you come down to your regular terms and conditions, the things you're agreeing to, and then hit agree and submit, and that's that. So again, overall, not too bad. Just one extra section there. And, I've done Chase cards and U.S. Bank business cards. For the most part, the applications are the same. These are the things you're going to need to know. Just go sole proprietorship and then this business information down here. But they're all asking you basically the same things. So overall, not too bad. Now let's flip it around and take it back to close this one out. And so there we have it, guys. That is the business card application. So overall, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's only like an extra section that you would have over your normal personal application. So, definitely consider them for all the reasons we talked about. Again, as far as recommendations go, I think the Ink Cash is my favorite business card. I would start out just getting one, going through the process, seeing how you like it. But again, I would go, if there's so many cards out there, I would figure out what your goal is. And if you're just a sign-up bonus hunter, then great. You can just go down the business cards list just like that. If you want to round out your multipliers, and again, look at the cards and see what they have. I'll put some recommendations on screen and ones I think are very helpful. And again, if you have trouble, remember, you can apply in branch. When you open up a business checking account, you could do that as well and double up on a bonus as well for the checking account and the credit card. Just keep in mind that sometimes I have been asked for documentation to open a business checking account before, so you might just want to just go in branch and see if they can help you out, get through some of the questions. Both of my Chase cards, I did have to call reconsideration line for, and I have a whole video about that if you need it. So you have options. But anyways, guys, you just definitely consider business cards. But if you like this one, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, posting content just like this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Of course, right back here every Sunday with all the news you can use the week that was in credit and finance. My question for you guys is, let me know your thoughts on business cards. What are some of your favorites? What ones are you looking to get at the moment, or has this changed your mind? You're going to go after some business cards now. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one.